The future tense in Latin, of course, and in every language, is going to indicate something that's going to happen, not in the present, but later on. We've learned this so far as bo, bis, bit, bimis, bitis, bunt, where we take the stem from the infinitive, the connecting vowel, and then the ending. For example, a, bit. And if we put it all together, we get amabit. He will love. So we take the three parts, put on the bo, bis, bit to make it future. Now, these endings are great for verbs that belong to the first and second conjugation, meaning those verbs whose infinitive ending is are or ere with the macron. So as a reminder, for these categories of verbs, we use these endings to represent the future. But what about the third and fourth conjugation? Do they not have a future? No, they do have a future. However, we're not going to introduce them or express them with bo, bis, bit. So for verbs whose infinitive is ere, no macron, and ire, we're going to use a different group of endings. And these endings are ace, et, amus, atis, ent. Now take a second to look at those because we're going to use them in a moment. With these endings, when we put the verb together, there is going to be something different. Because if you notice, there is already a vowel attached to the ending. So, in our normal stem connecting vowel ending pattern, we're going to have to get rid of the connecting vowel because we don't need to add another one, it's already there. So we're just going to put the stem and the ending together. So if we have a verb, duc, et, put them together, you've got duquet, which means he will lead. That E right there is going to let me know that this is future. So let's take a look at our third and fourth conjugation verbs as they're actually conjugated in this future form. Let's start with the third, rego, which means I rule. We will take our stem, just like normal, reg, but now let's add these future endings onto it to create the future tense. And there we go. We just took the stem and then added on the future ending. Now let's take a look at a fourth conjugation, audio, to hear. Same thing, let's take our stem, aud, but remember, we're going to include the I here, because if it's an IO in the first principal part, you need the I there. Just like if this was an EO, you would need the E in there. So we have our stem. Now let's put in the same set of endings. Nothing else changes. It's all good. Now we do have a little subgroup of verbs that belong to the third conjugation. But these verbs are called third IO verbs, which means that when we look at their principal parts, like copio, they are still a third conjugation verb because of the ERE, no macron, but their first principal part ends with an IO. So this means let's treat this verb as if it was a fourth conjugation and keep that I in there. So we're going to do the copy, just like we did audi over here. And then we will add the endings. Capiam, capies, capiet, capiemus, capietis, capient. So in the end, guys, the future endings are going to be determined by the verb's conjugation. If it is a first or a second conjugation verb, we'll use the normal bo, bis, bit. However, if it's a third or a fourth conjugation, we're going to use these new endings ace, et. And the best way for us to do that is to make sure we know what conjugation a verb belongs to.